Here's what I'd want my early stage self to know is that discomfort isn't dangerous. My inability to be with discomfort was what was keeping my nervous system in threat mode, not the discomfort itself. The not being able to stay with it was dysregulating. So, building tolerance for discomfort is the most important skill in healing and honestly, just in life. And not many people understand that or teach it.
Hey there, and welcome to the Heal with Grace podcast. I'm your host, Grace Secker, and I'm a holistic licensed therapist and nervous system coach who believes that the chronic and often unseen symptoms you're living with are a sign of something deeper going on, a sign that your nervous system needs attention. In each episode, I'll share the science behind the most common chronic health disorders, plus holistic tips using mental, physical, and spiritual practices. You'll hear what I've learned in my journey and the true stories from our trusted guests so you can feel less alone in your experience and give yourself grace no matter what you're going through. So without further ado, settle in and get cozy. It's time to heal with grace. Hello, and welcome back to the Heal with Grace podcast. Today is going to be an episode where I take you back with me to the early stages of when I was in a lot of my symptoms, where I was reading every book, trying every protocol, crying in every single doctor's office, spending money I didn't have, spending family money. And there are specific things that I would do differently now if I knew what I knew, which you can't always know what you don't know, right? That's just life. But there are things I can very much so see that if I can name it now, I hope that I can help you save a little time suffering, right? So, if you're in the early stages right now where you feel sick or in pain, you're scared, you're trying so hard and nothing's working, I see you. I was that. I was you. And I know how exhausting it is mentally, physically, spiritually. And what I want to say is that of course, you're doing everything you can. Yes, it is stressing you out to be hypervigilant towards your health, but also there's a very real reason that you are. And if anyone has ever told you to look at your nervous system, I actually just had a client who joined the mind body healing method say that she's had a couple different practitioners tell her that they think that she needs to work with her nervous system in some way, shape, or form, or maybe get some therapy. And she didn't say that it felt like a dismissal. She just didn't really lean into it. But now she is, and she's really grateful that she is. And that was me. I can literally think back. There's a functional practitioner I went to in Austin, actually, where I very much so didn't listen. I was just so overwhelmed. And he gave me this pamphlet of a rewiring program, like a brain rewiring, very much so brain training. And I completely dismissed it. I was like, what is he telling me? I don't understand what this is. A lot of money. Like, no way, shape, or form am I doing that. I don't have the time to do it. I'm still trying to work right now. I was in the early stages of owning a private practice. And also now you're asking me to spend all this money on, supplements and blood work and IVs and all these things. I can't also do that. I just was like, no, I'm not even going to give that the time of day. Well, I really wish I would have at that time. He knew who he was talking to. He read me well. I fit all the personality characteristics and all the symptoms associated with someone who needed to work on their brain and nervous system. But I was not ready for that. And so yes, I do believe that everyone has their time and place to getting to this work and you can't really force it. At the same time, I think awareness is really big, right? If I knew there were podcasts out there, people talking about this, and I listened to those, I probably would have come to this work earlier, but I didn't. And so that's why this podcast exists to get the word out there more. But my point being is that I hope that this helps you lean into, okay, these are things I can do for myself while I'm going through this journey. So I just want to share with you what I've reflected on and what I really believe would have helped me a lot more if I did in my journey. So, first and foremost, education, which if you're listening to this, you're doing, right? You're educating yourself on the nervous system, on modern pain science. We can't change anything if we're not aware of it. So before any protocol or supplement or any extensive program, I would have educated myself on what's actually happening in my body. So much of the time, I just gave my power over to whatever they told me, whoever was telling me, right? And that goes for me, like as a practitioner. Like if you're one of my clients, I don't want you to do everything that I say or tell you. It's also not how I operate. I don't just like tell you to do all these things, but you know what I mean. I don't want you to just accept everything that I'm saying as truth for you. I really want you to help yourself. That's how healing works. So, education is wonderful. Like, start with education. Understand what's actually happening in your mind body and that your symptoms are neuroplastic, which means that they are brain derived. They are physically happening in the body, but the root cause is brain nervous system, not necessarily whatever the physical manifestation of your symptoms are, like a bulged disc or a viral infection or Epstein-Barr virus or a leaky gut or SIBO or something like that, right? So, yes, those things are true, but the cause is your brain and your nervous system. And that's what you're here to learn about. So, learn about it, understand it, listen to this podcast, read a book. Yeah, understand. First and foremost, education all the way. The second thing that I would have done is to stick with it, to stop constantly searching. I am notorious, I don't know about you, but I have been in the past notorious for starting something and switching tactics when it didn't go how I wanted it or it didn't happen quickly enough. And that is a strong indicator that my nervous system was resisting what I actually needed. So, what happens in this work a lot is that either we don't make progress quick enough or something starts to come up unconsciously, which is the whole point. But your conscious brain goes, I don't want to do that. By the way, you're not saying that necessarily. This is just what's happening. Your subconscious is telling you, I don't want to go there. I don't want to bring up the emotions I've never felt. Or this brain training and nervous system regulation work is freaking hard. I just want to take a pill. So this isn't working, right? So there's going to be a lot of excuses that come up. And it's not to say you're lazy and you just can't do it. It just is a natural pattern. So I wish that I would have understood that. I wish I would have understood that every time I do a switch, every time my body says, stop, you can't, that's just resistance. That is just my brain saying, we're not safe yet. Keep looking. Something is still wrong. And as long as my brain was getting that message, my body couldn't relax. So the searching itself was actually keeping me sick, right? The more I searched, the more I tried, the less I actually stuck with something and the less something could actually ever help me. So if I were starting over, I would learn to be present with where I am instead of always searching for where I should be. And that doesn't mean to stop learning. It doesn't mean to stop understanding. It just means stop frantically consuming, changing, shifting, right? So it means like, well, I'm going to call you out if this is you. There are some times when I would see therapy clients where I'd have someone say, "Well, I've seen this therapist or that therapist, but they've never really gone for more than about 5 times." And to me that usually says, "Okay, their nervous system is resisting something. There's definitely something there. There's some avoidance." Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't take sometimes it takes time to find the right fit. It does, very much so does. So there's nuance there. But if that's a constant pattern, you switch from one program to the next because it's not working very well, that just tells me that your nervous system is on high alert and probably resisting a lot. Number 3, this kind of goes along with number 2, but I'm naming it in a different way. So, recognizing that my tolerance for discomfort was keeping me in pain. I honestly didn't connect this till pretty late on in my journey. I didn't understand the whole idea behind capacity in our nervous systems. I got to a place where I recognized, okay, I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty stable, but anything more stressful than just everyday stuff would impact me deeply. Whether that would mean I would have some sort of pain in my body or I would crash with fatigue or something like that. And that's because I wasn't really working with the capacity in my nervous system, which means I wasn't able to sit with things that were uncomfortable. That's not a personal failing. That's not because you're weak. That wasn't because I was weak. That's because my nervous system literally never learned that. It's normal for a stressed nervous system to stay small. So basically, every time I subconsciously felt a certain sensation, an emotion, uncertainty, something didn't go well, I would rush to fix it, research it, make it go away. Anxiety would kick in and I would start spiraling. And then my body would collapse and dissociate. But here's what I'd want my early stage self to know is that discomfort isn't dangerous. My inability to be with discomfort was what was keeping my nervous system in threat mode, not the discomfort itself. The not being able to stay with it was dysregulating. So, building tolerance for discomfort is the most important skill in healing and honestly, just in life. And not many people understand that or teach it. I think in any generation, this is taught or not learned. But I do think us millennials and other and higher generations, older generations, very much so embody this. We really never learn to be with things that were uncomfortable. And so it is hard to go throughout life because there's plenty of things that are uncomfortable. So I'm going to put that out there. Take with it what you will, depending on where you are in your journey. Maybe you resonate with that, maybe you don't. But this could be literally anything from an uncomfortable conversation with someone, right? You don't want to get into conflict with someone or to an emotion that's uncomfortable. Like you're starting to feel sad and you're like, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm sorry for crying. You're basically saying that's uncomfortable, which it doesn't have to be pleasurable. I mean, you can get to that point, but anyway, now I'm rambling. And my point being is that I hope that you understand that the reason why your system is on high alert is because you don't have the capacity to deal with stressful, uncomfortable feelings or situations. And this work helps expand that, which is like the biggest thing you can do in life, in my opinion. Number 4, I want you to understand, or I wish I would have understood, that relief is temporary. But trust is regulating, right? So if I were starting over, I would stop chasing relief and I would start building trust in myself that I can handle whatever is going to happen. Short term relief is short term relief. It doesn't always mean that it's going to help you long term, right? So you take an Advil, you take a supplement that might help you feel a little bit better. You put a cream on your body and it'll help subside the sensations. Maybe it does. For some of you, it probably doesn't. That's okay. There's nothing wrong about that. But that's not long term trust. If you do the meditation, you might feel calm for that moment. You get the massage, you get the adjustment, you get the IV drip or whatever it is, and you feel okay for a day or two, but then you're back to baseline. You have to continue to do these things over and over and over to help yourself. But just remember, relief is a moment, it's not a goal. So, for example, I still do have a syncope response. So I've had many times of passing out in my life. When I've gotten blood drawn, I've been in the hospital, or someone else has been in the hospital. I have that response. So when I used to start to get the feeling of nausea, like I could, if you've been there, you start to feel those feelings, heat. I feel hot. I feel nauseous. I feel maybe a little dizzy. I can tell the signs where I'm getting to that place where my nervous system is like, oh my gosh, too scary, too scary. We're going to shut down. I used to respond to that feeling with so much fear. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know how to handle this. And then I would have just passed out right away. Trust is the goal. Trust is regulating. And trust comes from 3 things: staying present when symptoms show up, knowing that it is temporary and it won't last forever, instead of scrambling to escape them, spiraling into wondering what's wrong, how it's going to take you out of your life, letting sensations arise and fall without narrating them into danger, right? That is the goal, letting them arise, being with them. Again, remember knowing you can be in discomfort. And then learning that discomfort doesn't require immediate action. Trust comes from consistency, not intensity. So from doing less and not more. The slow, boring daily practices of telling your body is what actually rewires the nervous system. And then when you have those experiences where you've had really difficult symptoms, or maybe you've been in a car for a long time when you're uncomfortable, you get through that, right? It doesn't last forever. But in the moment, your brain thinks, oh my gosh, danger. This is really bad. I'm in so much pain. We have to change that experience to trust. Trust that your body will release that in time and know that she'll be okay. It's not a magic protocol, but it is the consistent practice of trust that really builds the safety and security in your body.
Want to take a pause for a second because if everything I'm saying is hitting you and resonating with you, what I'm really going through is the foundation of the mind body healing method, the program that I built exactly for this. And I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end. But for now, I want you to understand that you can listen to this all day long, right? Like you can educate yourself, you can read the books, but being in an environment and a community where you get to grow with others and ask your questions and understand what it really feels like to be in safety and security in your nervous system and then see that everyone else is doing it too, that is power. That builds trust and security just by seeing other people do it. That's the whole point behind the mind body healing method, helping you understand what's going on and how to change your body's response to stress and doing it alongside with others who can support you. So, if that feels like a good fit, you can find the link below to enroll. We are enrolling now. All right, back to number 5, working on my relationship with my body before it feels better. Oof, I was that person that was like, well, I'll do this when. I'll do this when I feel better. I'll do this after my symptoms go away. That just delays your progress. I want you to think about being in your life and being in your body before anything actually changes. Because when your body has hurt you, scared you, betrayed you for months or years, the last thing you want to do is have a loving relationship with it, right? You probably have no idea how to relate to your body in a kind and supportive way because it just is in pain and it hurts. You feel like it's working against you. But the paradox is that as long as you're at war with your body, it can't relax. And as long as you're treating it like the enemy, your nervous system is going to stay in protection. So when you do this work, when you start sending messages of safety, you stop scanning for symptoms. And when you start thanking it instead of fighting it, your body starts to soften. So I wish I would have understood that actually, instead of seeing my body as the enemy and seeing it as a loving part of me, would have really helped the whole process of healing. Last but not least, I wish I would have known that healing doesn't come from finding the perfect approach. And this one kind of goes in line with the other ones that I said before, meaning I wish I wouldn't have jumped around a lot. I kept thinking, well, this isn't it. I got to find a different coach. I got to find a different therapist. I got to find something else that's going to work for me, a different doctor, whatever. But healing doesn't come from finally finding the perfect approach. It comes from all the above, right? I've gotten this question too, like what makes your program different than others? Like, why would this be better than the other ones? I don't actually know if my program's better than the other ones. I haven't personally taken other programs, but um, I think it's a little bit different, but it doesn't mean it's better. Honestly, most of us in the mind body world are all saying very similar things, just in a little bit of a different way. So choose who you resonate with, the person that speaks to you the most, the person that you understand more. And every time you listen to them, or most of the time you listen to them, you think, oh, yeah, that hits, or you watch their content online or whatever it is. You have this feeling that, like, oh, I resonate with them. I've done that so many times with mentors, therapists, teachers, where I'm like, oh, yeah, that feels like a good fit because they have a lot of experience that I want to learn from. They're speaking to me in a way that I understand. And then over time, maybe I've learned as much as I needed to learn from them and I move on. And that is totally normal, right? So stop the endless search for the perfect thing and just start. Just start somewhere because you will get something from everything that you try as long as you're open to it. The ability to commit to a path is trusting in the process, right? So the perfect approach doesn't necessarily exist. It's really just a solid approach plus consistency plus nervous system trust is usually how it helps. So these are just a few tidbits, and I hope it helps you. Really, the foundation is that if you can educate yourself on what's actually happening, stop frantically searching, build tolerance for discomfort, taste trust instead of relief, repair your relationship with your body, stay consistent, and stop looking for the perfect answer. That's it. That's all you got to do, right? I'm kidding. I understand that that's a journey and that's a process. And if this episode resonated with you, and if my approach resonates with you, I would absolutely love to support you in your process.
And that is exactly what the mind body healing method is meant. It's the only way to work with me right now. If you come in, you get a community with everyone doing it just like you. You get me in the community chat room answering your questions, supporting you, and then you get me on the group calls twice a month. So it's a really wonderful space. It's honestly what I wish I would have had in my early days, but nothing like that really existed. And now it does. So it's also the curriculum is self paced. You can move at your own time, but you also get that support from me and everyone else. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll help you figure out if it's the right fit. And until next time, take care of yourself and keep healing with grace.